Biaggio. We are here at the Super Bowl. Is this the first time you've done something like this with the Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
How weird is this experience?
It's weird, but it's something that's really cool. You know, I've never done this before, but yeah, I'm taking advantage and I'm enjoying every moment.
Now, I know you have a little bit of a past with football. Did you ever think that you might be here for football?
No. It's weird, you know, when I played football, it was something that I was really good at, but it wasn't something that I wanted to turn pro in. But it's nice to have the Super Bowl here in Vegas. It's nice to even just have a team here in Vegas. You know, I remember growing up, I always wanted us to have a football team. Now we have the Raiders. You know, I'm still a Bears fan, but yeah, it's really cool. You know, a lot of eyes are on Vegas now, and you know, my city's coming up.
Is it difficult to be a Bears fan? I don't know how well they did this season.
It's very difficult, you know. A lot of my teammates are Lions fans, and that's a Bears rival. And I love Barry Sanders, so I always get teased at the gym.
How did you become a Bears fan? Because that seems like an odd team to pick.
I was born in Chicago.
Okay.
I moved to Vegas when I was like 6 years old. My mom's side and my dad's side are all from Chicago, so yeah, I've been a Bears fan since I was a little kid.
Are you a fan of all the Chicago sports?
All of the Chicago sports, yes.
So Fansided is based in Chicago, so we're all very big on the Chicago sports teams as well. So
yeah,
it's a good city.
Yeah, great city. You know, a Bears fan and a Bulls fan.
So you mentioned, you know, you never thought about going pro for football, but you're about to go pro for MMA, and
Yeah.
we've been talking about this endlessly. What finally made that decision? All right, now it's time.
Yeah, you know, I could have gone pro 3 fights ago or 2 fights ago, who knows? But you know, I wanted to listen to my coach, and whatever my coach thinks, I'm going to listen to. You know, so you know, I wanted to see how my last fight would go and how I would finish him, and I finished him in the second round. And I think the way that I won kind of told me, okay, I might be ready to turn pro. But then again, it's all what my coach thinks. So I sat down with him. I told him, I said, hey, you know, I think I'm ready to turn pro. What do you think? He thinks the same thing, so that's what we're going to do.
Is it any different now that you've got a pro fight ahead of you versus an amateur fight? I would assume not.
No, it's no different. You know, I already had 5 fights in the PFL, meaning I had 5 fights on that kind of stage, that kind of production on ESPN, and 5 wins. So, you know, I'm getting the experience, and this is all, it's all just experience. So, yeah, this next fight it's on the same stage as my last 5 fights, so it's really no difference to me.
And so, is the pressure any different? Because we always talk about pressure, lack of pressure, you know, all this stuff people think. Is the pressure different knowing that this one really counts? I mean, it's weird because your amateur fights really did count because you're on a huge stage, people will remember them. But this time it counts for your record.
Yeah, of course. You know, the pressure's only going to get worse and worse and worse. You know, if I go 10-0 or anything, you know, the pressure's just going to get worse and worse and worse. But it's how you handle the pressure that really counts. You know, I believe that pressure makes diamonds. I believe I'm handling it pretty well. I think I'm handling it a lot better than most people would. But you know, yeah, the pressure does get worse. You know, there is more pressure in this fight for sure. But I invite all the pressure in the world because I just know it's going to make me better.
And I was just wondering, did you have any special Super Bowl memories with your grandpa? Did you guys ever watch the game together or anything like that?
We had, yeah, I remember we saw one Super Bowl in Arizona, but I forgot what it was. But I think the biggest memory for me was, it wasn't the Super Bowl, but it was the Orange Bowl, and it was in college. And that was in Florida, and man, that was an awesome experience. I think it was Wake Forest versus Louisville, and we were in like the box, and it was a great memory. You know, my grandfather was on the field for the coin toss, and usually before that game, sometimes they'll have like jets fly over the stadium, and they did, and the pilots came up to the suite after, and I remember me and my brother were like, oh my God, those are the pilots that drove the jets, and my grandfather was all jealous. He's like, but they like me, you know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. Super Bowl, not really, but I do remember the Orange Bowl very vividly.
You know, I was thinking about this the other day. I was watching like an old clip of your grandfather, and I was thinking like, wow, this is cool because, you know, my grandpa, I don't have any record of him from when he was younger. You have all this record of your family. How cool is that to know you can look back at a time that you weren't alive, your mom wasn't alive, nobody in your family was really around yet, and see it firsthand.
It's so cool, man. You know, growing up, my grandfather was always my superhero. And the superhero that I saw was, like you said, the stuff that I'd look back on. I'd go on YouTube videos and I'd see his trash talk. I'd see, you know, what he did with Vietnam and all these things, you know. So he was a superhero to me. I couldn't imagine what he was like to people at the time. You know, he was like, even Mike Tyson said it, you know, he was like a superhero to him. And he's the same like that with me, and that's also my grandfather. So it's like a weird gray spot. It's a weird like mixture of the two. But yeah, you know, the fact that we have, you know, platforms like social media, we could go back and look at stuff like that. I think it's really cool.
Does that make you second guess like how you act now? Like my grandkids maybe someday are gonna look back and I'm the one they're gonna look back and maybe think, is their hero? You think about that, like how you act, and especially in front of a camera?
Absolutely. You know, my mom always told me to be me and my brother both, you know, to be very, very careful when we go out and do stuff like that. And there's been a lot of times where I wasn't careful at all. I didn't care about nothing, especially when I was doing football. You know, I went down a road that was really dark, and I didn't like the lifestyle I was heading towards. But yeah, absolutely. You know, I do keep it in the back of my head. Just be careful when I'm on camera. Be careful what I say. You know, all that stuff for sure.
And last question for me: how excited are you to be fighting in Saudi Arabia on a huge card? Do you kind of have an idea of what that experience is going to be like?
Yeah, you know, I've never been to Saudi. I know the fight experience is going to be just like any other Tuesday or Thursday where I go into the cage and spar. But I'm excited to go to Saudi Arabia. I've never been there before. My mom's been there a couple times, but I haven't. And I heard they got good lamb, so I'd like to try some of their lamb. But yeah, as far as fight-wise, I'm just go in there and do my thing. Be calm, composed, and just be a bully.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.